welcome to another exciting episode of Riding Through the Unknown. I'm your host, Michael, and joining me tonight is an amazing guest who I feel like has great experiences and stories to share, and is the author of a brand new book. So I'm so excited to be able to have her on and promote her book. So without any more time taking away from her time, I am going to introduce Nicole, aka Nicki Aubrey.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I love your intro, by the way.
Thank you. My cousin put it together for me. And I gotta admit, I love to watch it too. I'm like, whenever I need an uplift, I'm like, let's put that intro on. So, for those who aren't aware of all that you do, would you mind sharing with the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been having paranormal experiences my whole life. They started in childhood. And then they kind of died down a little when I was a teenager. But then I had a Kundalini awakening back in 2019. And oh my God, so much stuff. I started having contact with ETs and out of body experiences, um, like astral traveling. My psychic abilities like came online like crazy. But it wasn't until like August, September of 2023 that this SSP stuff, like memories through vivid dreams, I got pulled out of my body and shown different scenes. Even just in like meditations and through hypnosis and remote viewing, I saw a lot of stuff. So I got this big push from the universe to just write it all down and write a book and put it out there. And maybe it'll help somebody who's just waking up to this, or maybe they're have similar experiences and they, can't figure it out or don't know why it's happening. So that's why I wrote my book, also to like be part of the disclosure. I got to do my part. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
No, and I love how in the book you don't bog it down with a lot of details that when I was reading parts of it, it's like I would see like, okay, I'm assuming you have basic knowledge of this, so we're gonna skip that, get to this. And I was like, I love that because everybody will put that in there, and it's like a lot of people are like, well, when are we getting to the good stuff? I already
Yes.
know this from this. And I loved how you politely just said, I'm going to assume that you've read other people's books. I'm not your first book in this series topic.
Yeah.
So if
I wanted to skip all the boring shit because I read a lot, and like when I read, it's like the first like 10 chapters or like stuff I already know. And so I'm like, in my book, I'm going to be like, okay, I assume if you don't know, here's a good book, read that first, or like there's so much information on YouTube that like you could go look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah.
and the website you gave was really good website too.
Which website?
I knew you would ask that. Let me go look.
Oh, I did put a reference to
The
the yeah,
ACIO.
ACIO website, because that's where I got a lot of the information about the different programs and like Monarch and all those different ones. There's so many of them.
I have to say, I was not aware of some of those programs that you had listed in there either. But before we get to that, I know in your intro, and you talk about it in the first third of your book, that you nicely divvied out into sections and announced for the reader that wants SSP, read the last section of the book. If you want paranormal, read the center, and Kundalini Awakening is the first. For those that aren't aware of what a Kundalini Awakening is, do you mind kind of giving a little explanation of that?
Yeah, so it's energy, and it's represented as a snake, and it's what they say in the ancient text is it's a serpent. It's a energy, that resembles a serpent, and it's coiled at your root chakra. And either through extreme trauma or injury, or just at a pre-programmed time in your life, through meditation too. A lot of people go to shamans to get theirs activated, but basically that energy starts to coil and it starts to rise, and it goes all the way up to your third eye, and it like pierces your third eye, and your third eye gets kind of blown open. And yeah, they there's many different ways to describe it, but it's like the Shakti and Shiva energy, and the like coil around the base of your spine. But it pretty much like awakens you. When I had mine, my psychic abilities just like came online. I know like colors got brighter. I just kind of understood things. Like I just knew things, you know. Everything about my past like made sense. Like everything just came together. I felt so connected to everything. Like the plants, the animals, the stars. I knew I was like one with everything. It was just this warm, loving feeling of oneness. It really motivated. I was not in a good place in my life at the time, so it really motivated me to start healing and to, you know, leave my abusive boyfriend at the time. And I was drinking all the time and partying, and it really gave me this push, like, no, I gotta stop. Like, and I want to stop. I wanted to stop, and I wanted to heal, and I wanted to start learning about things like chakras and ETs, and you know. And it was really cool because like my whole life I was interested in things like Buddhism and angels and ETs and like even quantum physics, you know, but I just dabble a little bit here and a little bit there, and even like near death experience stuff and past life stuff, but I would just dabble and I didn't really, you know, take it that seriously. I'd maybe read a book and then go on with my life, you know, but it's like in that moment, like everything was connected. I knew that everything was connected. All the world religions and quantum physics and angels and ETs, that it was all connected. And yeah, so it was really cool. So it drove me to the path of just focusing on that and learning as much as I could. And I started meditating all the time. Um, I had like healing too. Like I had extreme anxiety and depression and chronic pain and everything at the time. And it was just like all gone, like in an instant, it was just all gone. There was some physical symptoms that go along with it, but I remember I had to squirm, like I had to get down on the floor and I had to like squirm, and I didn't care what anyone thought of me. I'm like, oh my, like I have to do this. And I was getting visions too. With every time I closed my eyes, I would have like psychedelic visions. Like it would be all psychedelic stuff, and I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. And yeah, so a lot of people, there's a lot of like fear out there on the internet. I see like, oh, don't do it, like don't activate your kundalini and don't do it, and it's so scary and blah blah blah, and you could, you know, go into psychosis and all this shit. And maybe that is true. I'm not saying that that's not true. Definitely be careful. But I don't know. I had a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I think it depends on the intention behind it. And from the sounds of it, it looked like the universe was dropping little seeds so that when you did it, then it would be like, boom, and you're like, oh, now I know why I read this, and now why I read that. And
Yes.
putting everything together instead of having a, what is this? What in the world are you talking about? No.
Yep. Exactly. Yes.
So Lauren Gillette is asking a question for you. She is asking, where is Nicole on her sovereignty freeman movement journey?
Yes. Um, oh, it's going really, really great, actually. I try not to use the word sovereign because sovereign is for nations and kings. And to be sovereign, you need like a castle and a moat and a military and stuff like that. So I call it living in the private and getting into private banking, because it really, it comes down to trust and private trust and learning how to open a trust and put liens against your all caps name and stuff like that. So yes, it's going really good. But I can't talk too much about it because I want to I want to finish the process, and then I don't know. maybe one day I'll teach it, but I want to go through it myself first, make sure I know what I'm talking about before I talk about it publicly.
Right. That's a good thing because if you start and then find out you have to shift gears and you got 10 people doing it and going, and then they're going to have 10 going, what the F did you do, Nicole?
Yep.
We told us to do this, and now we're
Yeah.
really screwed. And they're going to be
Yeah.
like, no, don't follow.
Exactly. That's why I'm like keeping my mouth shut until I'm done, and then I'll do
Yeah.
another interview. But
I
yeah.
think Lauren is really excited about this because now she's wanting to know how soon before you'll finish the process.
Oh God, I'm thinking it's gonna be like another probably another year before
It's
I.
not easy.
No, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot. Mhm.
So I'm curious too with your awakening. Is it something that you feel like the universe said now is the time and kind of pushed you into awakening, or do you feel like you were at a point and just said, look, um, there's something else out there I gotta look into, and that's how the awakening started for you?
I honestly feel like it was kind of pre-programmed. Um, I definitely was not in a good place in my life. I don't think it was an accident. It doesn't feel like it was an accident. Either my higher self or my soul kind of decided. It happened a week before my 30th birthday, and I always hear that it usually happens around the age of 30. Your spiritual awakening. Not always, but generally around the age of 30. And mine was literally a week before my 30th birthday, and I do feel like it was already part of the plan.
Well, that's cool. And yeah, and it sounds like you had a good team that you trusted that helped prepare you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And they slowly prepared me for ET contact too. It started off just like little tiny things here and there. Um, I'd get like sucked out of my body while I was sleeping, and I would just like see a being, and then I'd be back in my body. So they kind of like inched their way. And now when they pull me out, I actually get to like see scenes, and sometimes I speak to them telepathically, and so they kind of slowly worked me up towards my experiences now.
And so, have they let you go off world yet?
Um, well, I have been in ships, like spaceships. I haven't been to any other planets yet. I really want to, but
Yeah, those are fun. So, when I'm kind of curious too, is what made you decide to put the book in the order of Kundalini, then paranormal, then the SSP? Because I understand SSP was the last part of your process, but I'm curious if you didn't have any paranormal experiences before and this is when they happened, or
oh, I did. I put my like childhood ghost stories and like paranormal stuff in. I just wanted to, it was a way for me to organize the book, because like when you go to write a book, it's like, oh my God, I have all this information. Like, how the hell do I write a book? I've never wrote a book before. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do like a timeline. So the first couple of pages are just a little backstory on me, how I grew up, um, just like little things, some traumas and shit that I experienced, but I wanted to keep that kind of short. And then it kind of led into my Kundalini awakening. But then I go into my supernatural experiences, which actually started when I was a child. So I tried to keep like a timeline of my experiences.
so what was your favorite paranormal? Like that,
Uh,
and did you put it in the book or did you keep that one for yourself?
no, I put everything that's happened to me thus far. I've put in the book. I actually started a second book because I'm having more more memories come back, more out of body experiences, more um, weird stuff. But when I was a child, I used to. see this priest all the time. So I grew up in it's an old schoolhouse, and there's a big window, like a big bay window right before the front door. So if anyone's coming to the front door, they have to walk by the window. And I used to always see this priest. And I would tell my mom, like, oh, look, mom, somebody's here. And my mom would look, and like sometimes she would see it and sometimes she wouldn't. And one time she did see him and she got freaked out because she knew it wasn't a person. Because it was kind of transparent to her. Like, to me, I saw it as a solid person, but to her, she saw it as transparent. And she was already having ghost experiences in the house. So she was like really freaked out about that. There was another interesting one that happened. I had my friend sleep over. I'll call her Eva. I call her Eva in the book. And I think we were like 10, 11. I don't know. We were young. And she was sleeping over on a mattress on the floor, and I was in my bed, and it was dark except for my bedroom door was open, and we had a wood burning fireplace. So the fireplace was going, so there was a little bit of light coming into my room. And I remember looking up into the corner of my room and seeing this black cloud. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like a black cloud, but it was really like wispy at the ends. And I'm like, I remember staring at it for a while, and I'm like, what is that? And then I said, Eva, what is that? And she looks up at it and gets freaked out. So she gets in my bed, and we both pull the covers over our head. Yeah, it was like this black cloud in the corner of my bedroom. And it wasn't smoke. It wasn't like, I don't know. It was so weird. I don't know what that was.
I'm curious, did you get any? I understand being scared because you're seeing this mass for the first time and all, but did you, thinking back on it, do you feel like it was a positive energy mass or a dark energy mass?
No, I think it was like demonic. I don't think it was, I think it was there to scare me. I don't think it was positive. I did have another experience in the same house, actually, my parents' house that I grew up in. I remember moving back. I had surgery and stuff like that. I think I was around 24, 25 years old. I was in the bedroom. I was watching, I was actually watching an alien documentary on my laptop, and I was lying in bed. And when I could, my door was open and I can kind of see out into the hallway and into the kitchen. And I remember seeing this white cloud in the house, and in the kitchen there's 12-foot high ceilings, and it was really high, like it would have been like 10 feet high. And I knew it wasn't like smoke, like smoke dissipates as it gets like
Higher.
higher. And it was really thick, and like the edges were straight, but then the sides were wispy. And I wasn't awoken. I wasn't awake yet. So I kind of got scared, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And I regret now I didn't go investigate. I just like kind of looked at it, stared at it for a few minutes, and then went back to my documentary. I really regret not like taking pictures of it, but I was kind of freaked out. So
That's all right. Everybody does that at first, so don't feel bad. We've all been there. We all have those I wish I had moments.
yep.
So Lauren's got a question. I'm not sure. I normally don't ask these type of questions, but I don't know. I'll leave it up to you. As she's asking, has your romantic relationship life evened out? In the book, it seemed like you have been through an endless stream of love bites, astral romance, tech relationships.
So I don't have a romantic life anymore. After the last guy, I decided that I was just going to be single. I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I remember trying, my sister and my friend trying to get me on dating apps and stuff like that. I'm like, I just felt so grossed out. Like, I felt really grossed out, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to meet anyone. Like, yeah, I decided to be single. That was 6 years ago, and I love it. Honestly, I love it so much that I don't think I could ever go back to relationships. Like, I love my freedom. Like, I love not sharing my bed. Like, yeah, I love being single. So, yeah,
I,
it's gonna
I,
stay that way.
yeah, I kind of wonder if that's a side effect of the programming because we going through that, being forced into stuff that it's like, yeah, this is our little freedom. And so it's like
Yeah,
we hold on to that more than most people.
yeah. I had a lot of sexual stuff too, like a lot of memories of being used as a sex slave and like as a child sex slave and stuff like that. So I had to do a lot of healing around that, and I thought maybe once I healed all that I would be interested in dating again, but that didn't happen. Like, I just love being single too much.
Yeah, and admittingly, it's like I kind of think about it the same way as going, I've been so independent. It's like the thought of losing that independence, like, do I really want to give that up?
Mhm.
Or how would that even look like now? Because it's like, wait, I would have to change so many things. And it's like, wow, you don't
Mhm.
even realize. But yeah, dating apps, yeah, I avoid those too.
Yeah. Oh, they're horrible.
And I think, like, so in full transparency to everyone in the show, we were kind of talking a little bit back before we came on about, the positives of, what we went through. And, I think it's a beautiful thing that we're able to do that. But I was just thinking with, like, the dating apps not working for us, if it's because we've been trained so much to identify certain things that it's like, yeah, if you're lying on your profile, we'll know about it real quick.
Yes, definitely. Like, the more psychic I get, the more I can just see right through people. And like, I know their intentions. I know when they're not being truthful. I know their flaws. Like, I know, like, and I know when they're lying. And I'm like, I just don't want to deal with it. Like, I just don't want to deal with all that.
But I kind of like how your book is kind of like a phoenix story, the way you wrote it and everything. And I mean, granted, I admit I didn't get to finish the book, but from what I was reading and kept reading over and over, I was drawn to a certain part. I was like, I had the sense of this is going to be a phoenix story, rising from the ashes kind of story. And I love how you titled it almost to, like, I don't know if you intended the story to be like that, calling it Aubrey Ascending, because I was like, at first I thought, oh, an ascension book. And I was like, oh wait, no, this is even better.
Yes, I kind of stole it from Jupiter Ascending, but it fits so well with my last name, and I wanted to make sure it was ascending because I'm still like in the process. I'm not like totally enlightened yet or anything. I'm still learning, still having experiences and stuff, but it is about ascension and spiritual awakening, but also paranormal and also secret space program and MK Ultra and ETs. So it kind of like encompasses everything, you know?
And I wonder your feelings of, everyone talks about how, like, we were talking about the Schumann resonance and how it affects everyone, and noticing we, and when I say we, I mean those that have been in the programs, whether you have memories or not, if you resonate with the programs, I feel like you've probably been a part of it. But we tend to, like, notice the changes in the energies and adapt a little bit easier, maybe, is may not be the right word, but it's the one that comes to mind. And I'm wondering your take on that. that's another positive side effect.
Yeah, I think it's the awareness, like we know about the Schumann resonance, we know about the solar flares, we know about the ascension that's happening, whereas people that are sleeping don't know. So for me, like when I'm having a really bad day or I'm just like really freaking angry, I like to check the Schumann resonance and I'm like, oh, there was a huge like X class. I'm like, maybe that's why I'm feeling this way. So I can kind of explain it and I feel better. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just that, and I get over things a lot quicker. In the past I didn't, like before my awakening, and sleepers, they can stay really angry and hold grudges and like for a really long time and experience pain for like a really long time. But like when you have an awareness of what's going on, even if you don't know 100%, but you're like, oh, I think that this is that, it makes it a lot easier. And we know to like rest when we're feeling lethargic and tired and stuff like that. So part of being, in this community or awakening community is knowing how to take care of yourself and self-care. You hear it all the time to
Yeah.
rest, relax when you need to, eat healthy, drink a lot of water, all that stuff.
And I'm kind of curious because I know before I knew I was in the programs, I grew up in like if I broke a bone or I cut my skin, it would heal faster than what was expected.
Hmm.
And so I'm wondering, did you have that same experience, or ability?
Yeah, I healed pretty quickly. I also had like a really high pain tolerance. I was a daredevil kid and I used to like climb buildings and jump off buildings, and I used to like mountain bike with on like off trail and stuff like that. And I'd have a lot of injuries. Um, but I felt like I had a really, really high pain tolerance. Like it didn't really bug me all that much.
Right. But I think, in all fairness, from the look on your face when we were talking backstage, that I think I had a higher pain tolerance than you did.
Yeah, I can't. You broke your leg and still walked on it. That's crazy.
I tried. I couldn't actually take the step, but I would put the pressure on 3 times. I tried, and it was like the leg was just like, no. And I was like, well, just walk it off. It's no big deal.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So, what? How did you find out what programs that you were in? What did it all come in dream state, or was it in
Okay, so
readings?
so yeah, I'll tell my story about how I woke up because I think this could help people who are still, wondering if they're a part of it. Um, okay, so I first learned about the secret space program in 2019, and I was just super fascinated by it. So I'd watch as much as I could. I kept hearing, if you're interested in this, you're probably a part of it. But I was like, no, no, no. So like 4 or 5 years of watching secret space program stuff, I still had no idea I was involved in it. And it was around August, September of 2023 that I just got this like rush. Like, I don't know if it's my higher self or the universe. They're like, you need to read every book you can find on this subject. So I did. I went out and bought a bunch of books and I was just like reading and reading and reading. And then those books started to activate first real life memories. So I have real life memories of being in underground tunnels in the mental hospital. I was in a mental hospital when I was a child. Um, and like, so that memory just kept coming to me, and I'm like, oh, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. I was skeptical. And then there was this other thing, like there was a murder down the road for me when I was a child, and I had a really weird reaction. So it started with real life memories of things that I kind of explained away, or adults explained away to me. So I kind of forgot about them, put them on the back of my mind, didn't really think about them much. So all those started coming to the forefront. And then I started really like uh, paranoia and panic and like crazy anxiety. And I couldn't really take it one night. So I told my higher self, I said, like, you have to tell me, like, for sure. Like, I need to know, like, am I involved? Like, Why am I having all these memories? Why do I feel like, I'm being activated and stuff? So that very night I got a dream. And it was pretty obvious that, yeah, I was involved in it, but I was still kind of skeptical. So I know Dr. Kimberly McGeorge on the secret to everything.com. She has a scan. It's like an AI that scans you. It tells you. So I did that. I hired a remote viewer, Angie Dollar, who's been on your show, and she looked into it. She's like, "Yep, yep, you are." Even Ivan Teller. I went on his website and he confirmed. He's like, "Yep, yep, you are." And then I remember getting a hypnosis done, and the hypnosis confirmed, but so I'm like, okay, so I am a part of it, but it still doesn't really feel like real. Like, I don't know, like it's just so crazy. I don't really understand it. And then it was actually the night of my hypnosis that I woke up in the middle of the night, let my cat outside because she was meowing, came back to bed, and just as I was falling asleep, I got pulled out of my body and I got shown 4 different like scenes, I guess you could say, and Max Spears was in one of them. But yeah, so I got shown. The universe is like, we're giving you all these hints and all this information, and you still don't believe it. So we're just gonna rip you out of your body and give you these experiences. So then I'm like, holy shit. And then I had a couple more hypnosis sessions. I've done like self meditations, just meditations. Yeah, yeah. So that's my advice to people. Like, if you really, really want to know, ask your higher self for a dream. That worked for me.
Yeah, I have to work better with mine because mine was I was in the hot tub and outside, and I was like, all of a suddenly, it's like I know I don't put my head underwater because I can't anymore because it causes earwax buildup and I can't hear. So I'm like, I've learned to swim or just walk in water just to get the water feel. But I was in the hot tub after doing some yard art painting with spray cans, and it was like, man, every muscle was just sore. And I was like, that was unusual for me. And so I was like, all right, fine, I'll go in the hot tub. And next thing I know, my head is underwater and I hear the jets, but then the jets start sounding like something else. And I realize I'm no longer in the hot tub, I'm somewhere else. And the one word I got was Montauk. And others had said, yeah, you were a part of Montauk. And so I was like, it was interesting that I had that confirmed. And it was like the sound, it's like the water was like being pushed away from my ears underwater a little bit. So it's like I was seeing stuff, but then I wasn't able to see a lot. And so I would try to go back and being like, hey, well, you're giving me a memory. I want the full memory. And they're like, nope, that's all you're getting. So I'm like, I got a partial memory.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
on the flip side, the ironic thing is only one ear got clogged for like a day or two, and then it was like let go. And I was like, normally I got an ear candle to get all that out. I was like, that was weird. I was like, how did I? It was, but yeah, I'm still hesitant to go underwater anymore though, because I'm like, I don't want to push my luck.
Yeah. That's a great meditation. I used to go to the flotation tanks, or the separate sensory deprivation tanks. They closed down during the pandemic, but I
Yeah.
love just floating and just having my ears underwater. And I had some of the best meditation experiences.
Yeah. Oh, Iron Bear 78 says, I've had tons of dreams being in pools and cleansing baths before I wake up. I know what you mean, Michael. Yeah, I wish it was a cleansing bath or a pool, but no, I was in a facility, so wasn't so nice and pleasant. But At least I didn't have to feel all the. But oh, that was the other thing that was interesting. Is at one point I felt my arm actually lift out of the water of the hot tub, and it was like started feeling like it was burning. So I quickly
Mm.
put it under the water, and I was
Mm.
like, why would the air feel like it was like fire to my skin? And I was like, that's when I realized the atmosphere of where I was must have been different, and maybe this. And now I'm thinking about maybe this lab was not on Earth, or if it was underwater in somebody else's ecosystem being filtered
Yeah.
in.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. You should do a hypnosis session and go back there and figure it out.
Yeah, I've been trying to meditate and like push myself there, and I think because I'm trying to force it, it's like no. They're like, no, we're
Yeah,
gonna do this natural, so stop fighting us.
that's what I found. Like with my out of body experiences, I whenever I try, it doesn't happen. I like get pulled out. I always like I ask like my star family, my higher self, source, whoever. Hey, I really want to have an out of body experiences, and I think I asked like every night for like 6 months before it actually happened. You they wait till you're ready. Like they know you better than you know yourself, and
Right.
they know we can only really take and handle our psyche can only really handle a little bit at a time. So they plant some seeds, but then it starts to pick up. You start to remember more. Yeah.
Yeah, and an interesting thing I think you'll probably come across when you start going off world without the ships is for security reasons, for your own personal safety, you will probably find that your memory will be wiped
Mm.
of certain places that you go to. And it's like, yeah, we can't really tell you this because of these factors. And it's like, all right, I'm good with that. You're
Yeah.
keeping me safe, so I'm not going to force the issue, and I'll just be like, okay, let that one drop, move on.
Yes. And I know you gotta watch out for the my labs. A lot of people who get taken by the good guys, the military will come in and interrogate you and torture you
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Like what did they tell you, and try to find out information. So that's another reason why even the good guys wipe our memory. So
right.
have
Yeah,
you
and
had my lab experiences?
with talking with Sean Bond, he looked into it, and he was like 90% of my procedures in the programs are my lab programs. And so I was like, oh, great.
Mm,
It's like part of me was like, I would have been happier if it was the ETs.
yeah.
But yeah, it stings a little bit more when it's your own people that are supposed to be protecting you, using
Yeah.
you. But I'm also kind of curious your thoughts about with. I know that they say like there's thousands of us in the programs and everything, but how is it? No matter how hard we try, we cannot meet up and like hang out on the ethereal or astral or anything. It's like if I, because like I feel like if I was to go, hey, let's go hang out with Nikki and go see what's going on, it's gonna be like either have no memory of doing it or be like, nope, there's just no, and it's like how we don't come across more.
Yeah, I believe that we will be able to consciously leave our body and go meet up with each other and remember it all when we come back. I do believe that that's coming. um, Probably isn't. Maybe it's not safe right now. Maybe we're just not ready for it right now. I do believe our alters. I had this experience when I was trying to figure out like my alters and talk to them. I do remember. I don't know if you want me to go into it, but
Go for it.
apparently this alter of mine astral travels all the time. But so I woke up in the middle of the night. I was in the astral, and it's so weird, but there was a guy and he was like getting ready to have sex with me, even though I wasn't physical. Like we were in our light bodies, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then it just seemed so casual. Like it didn't seem like, a forced or anything. It seemed like, oh yeah, we're just meeting up. We do this all the time. And but I was conscious, like my ego self, my human was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like my main personality, or it was like, whoa, 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 what's going on here? What the hell's going on here? And he was confused. He was like, what do you mean? What's going on here? I'm like, who are you? Who are you? And he said his name was Emilio something. I forget the last name. And then I'm like, what are you doing here? Like I was getting kind of mad. And he was like, he said he was from the Ottawa network. And the network is code for, the like Illuminati, all
Right.
those, the bad corporations and stuff like that. They call them the network. He said he was from the network and he found me on a list. And I'm like, I was kind of like stunned. And then he kind of like sat down. And then I'm like, so is this what you do? You just go around, like you're part of some group, you just go around like raping people. And even though it didn't feel like that, I was just pissed. And he was like, no, no, no. And then I'm like, do you do any good for this world? And then it just kind of faded away. And then I was like back in my body. And I'm like, what the hell was that? Like, that was so weird. And when I looked into it later on, the very clear message that I got that was actually an altar of mine that goes and does these things at night. Yeah, so.
Yeah. So Lauren actually has a couple of. I think she had a couple questions, or oh no, just one. We covered the one. Is have you had any further astral experiences with the O guy or the red hair guy or the Arab man?
No, no, I have not had any more experiences. I wish I did. I would still like to find out a little bit more about that.
Really? Because I would not want any more experiences with the O guy.
Yeah, it was really dark. Like, oh my God, the energy was so dark. Um, yeah, they were discussing me and owning me and like my birth certificate. And then the Arab guy just goes like this. And this was in the astral too. Like, this wasn't a dream, or this was like real. Like, um, not that dreams aren't real, but like it was in the astral. And yeah, the Arab guy just like, oh, she's too much trouble. Like he did that. I'm like, what? Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, so Lauren's got a question about the book. She says, are you able to add page numbers to your book, or were those admitted intentionally?
I will add page numbers on the next book. I honestly didn't even think about it. I'm a first time author. I don't even know how to do that. Like, if you am I supposed to do it on Google, or does the like Amazon Kindle, because you upload it and then the AI edits it? So I'm like, I don't know.
I think it's
I
on.
will I will definitely keep that in mind. I will do that for my next book.
Actually, I kind of like when there's no page numbers, because then you don't sit there and go, like look in advance and go, there's 285 pages, and you're like, God, I'm on page 15.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
like you just don't think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yes,
wasn't
Lauren.
intentional. It wasn't intentional. But I definitely want page numbers. I think
Yeah.
it would be better.
Yes, Lauren, we've hinted at it quite a few times tonight that yes, there is a second book in the works.
Yes. Yes, there is. I don't know when it'll be done. I don't control these experiences. They're just going to happen. But I've had like at least 10 since I finished the last book. So I've got already 10 new experiences in there.
I'm curious if you ever thought about like when you run across someone like, say, example is because we both know Angie, and she's like, you had this experience with Michael. Would you go and say, hey, let's put that in the book that, we work together on something? Or would you be like, nope, I'm keeping these to just my experiences?
No, I want to be an open book. I want to put everything in there. So even like readings that I've gotten done from psychics, like I want to put in there. And like, yeah. Well, I would ask your permission to use your name though. Like,
Yeah, I
I,
figured that, but I was
yeah.
just like, I just, because some people don't want to even approach, like when they're saying, because of the subject matter being like, this is my experience, so I want to keep it my versus our.
No, I don't like the gatekeeping. I don't want to gatekeep information. You never know what story is going to trigger a memory in somebody else, or you never know like what is going to help somebody else, or trigger a memory in somebody else. So I just want to get it all out there.
And Angie is a sweetheart. She came up with an experience for me, and I was like, "Are you serious?" And we've talked about it a couple times, and so I'll share it with you. Is one of my altars was sent back in time from Antarctica during World War II, and was the reason the bomb didn't work in the bunker. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Why the hell did I? And they're like, it keeps going. It was against your will. It was not your choice. And I was like, okay, I feel a little better about that now. But yeah, she's really good at coming up with, and I have to say with her, the thing I like is she gives you bits and pieces, and it's like, yeah, that actually resonates and makes and kind of feels familiar. And so it's like, you're like, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a, oh, okay, so I did this famous thing with this person. Okay, cool, kind of feeling. It's like, yeah, it's a truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely resonate. I've got a few readings from her, a few clearings, and a few hypnosis sessions. But the readings and clearings, like, yeah, I resonate with it like very strongly. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a great source. And I'm looking forward to her book too, coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go, Angie. We're what's the word? Selflessly promoting you, shamelessly promoting you. That's it.
And you, Michael, are supposed to have a book.
I know.
Wait, was I supposed to say that on live TV? I think you've talked
It's,
about it in your show before.
yeah. Well, it's been hinted at in readings that it's gone public and that I made public, and I had to learn with being full transparency that yes, there is some stuff that can be shared and some stuff that can't be shared. So, as much as like I would love to put every reading out there for the public, there is information that's come across in like one of my readings with Sean that I was like, he's like, yeah, I'm really not supposed to tell you this, but there's this piece, and I'm like, oh yeah, if that piece got out, there's trouble coming
Like,
my way. So it's like, yeah, we're not going to share that piece.
is it like sensitive information, like too
Yeah,
personal or embarrassing, or is it like
it's
dangerous for you to put that out?
more like dangerous for me to put out because it puts a lot of people at risk.
Mm,
And
okay.
so, yeah. Hey, Christy's in. I'm not sure if you know Christy Campbell.
Well, I've seen her. I've watched her. I've watched like her on YouTube a lot and on James Rink's show. I follow her on Facebook. We're Facebook friends.
She's really cool.
Yeah,
She's a
yeah.
great source too. If you ever wanted to get information. She does readings. She's helped me with understanding and unlocking some of my. I haven't physically had memories, but she's helped me unlock the knowledge of knowing, yeah, I'm in the programs and which programs I've probably been a part of.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I should connect with her. Yeah.
in Iron Bear, I'm not sure what this is about, is saying, is Mary Kruger known as Sister Mary or Mother Mary? I had a recent recall that I disobeyed one of her orders. I'm not sure what they're asking. Or, do you get a
Um,
feel of what they're asking?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm
But
not sure.
and then Lauren says your transparency is awesome, and the documentation of your experience is true dedication.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you. I
Oh,
really appreciate
apparently
that.
Mary Kruger is a general. Christy says I don't know either, so we don't have to feel bad. We don't recognize this name. But
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we are all having these experiences. Like we all have these little pieces of the puzzle, you know. And the more that we talk about it and share, the more we can try to like make a picture.
right.
But right
So
now we're just all in the stages of like, oh, I got this little bit and this little bit, this little bit. But hopefully
it,
one day it'll all make sense for everybody, you know.
and the thing I hope too is when we do get all of our memories and everything's unlocked, that we have the we keep our awareness levels of this was against my will. Yes, it was done by me, but can come to peace with the fact that it was programmed, not
Mm-hmm.
personal, and somebody flicked the switch versus, yeah, I went and did this on my own.
Yes. This is why like healing and forgiveness is very, very important. You know, we got to heal from all this stuff so that we don't go take revenge, you know, on somebody here in the physical because we were mind controlled, we were programmed. You know, we have to forgive ourselves and we have to forgive others for what they've done to us. I'm talking
And
like us, like not the bad guys. Screw the bad guys.
yeah,
I don't want
yeah,
to forgive them, but like us, like
yeah. I mean, well, I don't know about not forgive them. I think there's a certain level of, it's that Pandora's box sort of speaking of they're following orders and the person above them's following orders and the person above. So, without really knowing the culture, like, I'm sure some of the cultures are the fact of you disobey an order, you're dead. And so, out of preservation, you're going to do what they tell you, whether you like it or not.
yeah. And I do believe that most of the humans, like if not all the humans involved in this, were MK Ultra. Like they were under mind control. They were doing this stuff under mind control against their will. So, I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
how high the mind control goes, but I do believe that a lot of the humans involved were.
Yeah. Maybe some of the underlings, but I have a feeling the power hungry ones are like, I don't care. I want the
Yeah.
power, so we'll step on these people. They won't. They don't matter as long as I get this power.
Yeah, like maybe the ones at the very top of the pyramid aren't, but I know like the Satanists and like in the network, they do it to their children and then their children do it to their children. It's generational, the abuse, the splitting, the mind control. It's all generational. So yeah. Yeah.
So Christy wants to know: did you find Montauk memories with Angie?
So I did. I don't know if it was Montauk, like the one in New York, um, but I did have a memory of in the underground tunnels when I was in the mental hospital that they took me through a portal, and it was in a closet, and I did go to this facility, and everything that I've learned about Montauk, like it was that. There were cages, there were like I saw myself like cloned out like different me's. I saw a me but with like blue skin, so they were experimenting on me. Definitely went through a lot of torture, but I don't know exactly. Like I know that Montauk has is all over. Like it's not just the one in New York. That there's facilities like all over Canada and the U.S. and probably in other countries too. So I don't know if I was specifically in Montauk in New York or I was just in a Montauk like facility.
Right. And
And I
one
had
of
a
the things, go
sorry,
ahead.
and like one of the tortures too was like it's so funny because I forget what I was watching, but there was a chick that said the exact same thing that it just kind of blew my mind when I heard it. Because she was involved in these torture programs, and she said they took a saw and split her head in half. And I'm like, oh my God, I saw that when I was under hypnosis being done to me. So I still don't know what that means, like why they would just split my head in half. But it was just really interesting hearing somebody else say the same thing.
Yeah, I think they would do that just to show they have the power to split and reheal. So it was like
Mm.
kind of showing you that, yeah, that they have a lot of power and to make you more afraid of, okay, so I got to do good so they'll put me back together,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
maybe. And so Christy is saying she can see you as a psionic assassin,
Mm. Interesting.
which is interesting
Yeah.
because that's what I was talking with you about backstage is, bringing our abilities forward is that's one of those that we'd have to be extra careful about here in this realm.
Yeah. I do actually have some memories of using my psionic abilities. I was able to create tornadoes like around me. I could make everything in the room and like people spin and stuff like that, which is funny because like I have vertigo, like constant dizziness now. So I'm like, I wonder if that's related. But I was also able to, I could concentrate really hard on something like a knife, and I could actually manifest it into physicality. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking the vertigo may either one be your ego mind keeping you from going and using those gifts here in the now, or it could be your subconscious, not the ego, but your subconscious spiritual side going, you're not ready yet, so we're going to
Slow me
make you
down.
this way. So when the time comes, it'll be like you said, everything just like your pain and everything just disappeared
Oh,
and you were fine. And so that could be. And Christy says she feels that about you with the ability for instant manifest.
oh, I wish I could do that right now. Oh my God.
I know.
That'd be so amazing. I want these abilities back.
Yeah, and it's interesting how all of our quote origin stories are so different. For me, mine was hearing Tony Rodriguez talking about his experience and going, that's it just felt so familiar. And I was like, and it started me thinking, like you were saying, I had never read a book or anything about it, but hearing his experience, I was like, I wonder if I was a part of that. And then having on a show with another person out of the SSP, I don't know if you know Arkeem Ra,
Yes,
but
I
I was
watch him all
talking
the
with
time.
him and I said, as a kid, I don't know where this came from, but it like flashed in front of me while he was on the show. And I said, as a kid, I would draw mountains, and in the center of the mountain was a level for vehicles, a level for planes, but
Mm,
no doors. There's no doors on these mountains. And I would always draw one, maybe two, but And he was like, those are real. And I was like, what? And so it's like, that's when I was like, okay. And I started looking to Christy and Angie and other people and going, okay, I'm a part of this. So now I need to know.
Yeah. I love Tony Rodriguez. He really connected so many dots for me. I used to think when I started watching this stuff in 2019 that it was only like special people, like
Yeah, I know. I was
that
like,
got
oh,
picked for
good.
this. Well, not picked like that, but he was just like a regular guy, and I'm like, oh my god, so this happens to just like regular people. But also, I knew about the secret space program, and I knew about the network and the satanic stuff, but I didn't know how they connected. And watching Tony Rodriguez, like he connected the two, and I'm like, oh my god. So he was, yes, I love his story. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It
and
really
it's
helped me.
interesting. Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because for me, I knew about the cabal, dark side, and satanic and what they're doing, but I never knew about the programs. And so I was like, yeah, I only had half the equation.
Mm,
And yeah, hearing him started putting it together. And Christy is saying, I see them get you out of the cage and open portals with your psi abilities. And she says, that's why you were in a psych ward because of your mental power. And that
mm,
makes sense.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because I'm,
I definitely feel like I could open portals. Um, like I haven't seen it in hypnosis, but I just have like a feeling, like an intuitive feeling that I could do that. Yeah,
yeah, I,
I think.
I sense it in you,
Yeah,
to be
I think
honest.
too. Part of the mental hospital, because I've explained this, and like I had so many issues like OCD, Tourette's, like eating disorders, anger management, depression. I was self-harming. Like I had like everything. They said first bipolar, then they changed it to borderline personality. So I was like diagnosed with everything. I had like so much crap. I couldn't function anymore. So that's when my parents are like, okay, like we don't know what to do. And then my doctor suggested go stay. So the first I stayed, I actually lived at the mental hospital for 3 months the first time, and then I got a little better, and then I kept having to kind of go back. Um, but I think it was like they knew how powerful, yes, how strong I was, but I think it was like my alters, because I we're all coalescing, like we're all coming together, because I heard when you have like a really strong soul, really old soul, powerful soul, you can actually, your soul can start to bring all your alters together to integrate and to heal, especially during times of deep sleep, which is why they don't like us always trying to interrupt our sleep. But your soul can actually bring all those parts of you back together. And I think that happened to me. That's why I have these like mental health issues, because I was actually integrating alters and stuff like that. That's just my theory.
No, it makes total sense. And it's kind of, I was reminded, and before I get into that, I want to make note that I just noticed we're a little bit over the hour. Are you okay to talk a little bit more, or do you need to
Yep,
go?
I'm
Okay.
good.
So when we look at like TV shows and movies, we're told that there's a lot of disclosure in that and everything. And I noticed, like, as you were saying that, about being in the mental and everything, this system, the latest thing that I saw that I think it was Marvel or DC, I think it was Marvel put out, was called The New Mutants. And one of the things was they were all out of a mental hospital. And it's like, and they're trying to suppress their powers. And I'm like, yeah. And what's interesting too is I forget who I was talking to, but I had this sense growing up, like, and I thought it was an irrational fear But when I was like elementary school age, middle school age to high school age, I was like, if I ever got cut or hurt and people are like, we need to take you to the hospital, I was like, no, do not, absolutely do not take me to the hospital. I'm not going to be a lab rat. I'm
Mm,
not going to be experimented on. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I literally had this fear. Like, I wouldn't even, like, you know how some people would just spit on the road? I'm like, I would spit into a Kleenex, put it in my pocket so I could throw it away where I knew it would be, in my mind, the least possible way that somebody would get a hold of
your DNA.
whatever's in there.
Mm,
And somebody goes, that's not an irrational fear. That's a very true fear. And I realize now, coming from having my door opened in 2023, actually, like you, except mine was in August, going, yeah, these were not really irrational fears because it had actually happened.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're intuitively picking up on what's wrong in the world. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of funny too how that bleeds through. And one of the questions I'm curious to see if you have any inkling or researched into is, like, I know being a hybrid, having starseed and human, being in the program, say, yeah, part of my starseed blocks and I could break free is what I think it was Angie told me. Like, I broke the programming, and that's why I'm starting to get recall and familiarity with a lot of the subject and can talk about it. Whereas others, they're like, no, you can't break free. But I'm wondering, in your research and looking into your SSP experiences, have you come across and thought about, could this be happening to you this way too because of being a hybrid?
Yes, I think they are purposely looking for people with starseed DNA and angelic DNA. That's who they want to use in these programs because they know that they have abilities. Yeah, they're looking for people with certain bloodlines, people, even if you've had like a past life as some kind of warrior or a past life as, I don't know, like a Buddha or somebody, they're, they purposely target those people because in the programs they could read your past lives and your future lives and find out where you're going to become in other lives. But yeah, they're specifically looking for star seeds and light workers.
Yeah. And so Lauren is asking, do you do any detoxing protocols to enhance your abilities or to get rid of junk like nanotech, parasites, etc.?
Yes, so I take zeolite. I get the powder form. You can just buy it on Amazon. It has another word in it that starts with C, but I can't remember it. Zeolite, and it starts with C. If you just type that in, it'll come up. I take that with activated charcoal, and I'll do that for about like a week, and then I'll take a couple weeks off, and then do it for another week, and then a couple weeks off, and then every 3 months I like to do parasite cleanses. I have a Rife machine too, so I do detoxing frequencies and stuff like that. I think detoxing is extremely, extremely important. Yeah, stuff has come out of me, which is really disgusting, but yeah, so I know it's working. Um, yeah, definitely. There's so many different parasite cleanses, but yeah, you could just find one that, yeah, I think detoxing is huge.
Yeah, I'm curious too with your, awareness and everything. How do you protect yourself? Is there anything you suggest to people who may be wanting to go down this rabbit hole and be like, hey, let's give you a heads up, do this before you enter?
Yes, I do clearings, so I do them every night. James Gilliland from ESETI Ranch on his website, I think it's just eseti.org, has a clearing technique. It's just a little like prayer. I like to say that every night, and I believe that that does help. There's lots of different meditations, like protection meditations, calling in the angels and stuff like that. I always have crystals around me.
Yeah.
I pray for protection and put myself in the bubble. And I also get sometimes I pay people for clearings um, when I feel like there's something there and I just can't seem to get rid of it. Um, yeah, so definitely protection um, is great. you know,
Yeah.
um, I just find a lot of people are just so afraid, of these things that they want experiences and they want memories, but they're too afraid. So definitely do meditations to release fear. You could just YouTube it. There's tons of meditations release fear. I like to have a connection with my higher self and creator, so I like I just talk to them throughout the day. I talk to my star family. Um, I'll ask them for protection, ask the angels. So there's lots of different things you could do.
So I got an interesting question for you, ET slash paranormal based. And angels, do you think of them as paranormal or alien race?
I I believe they're kind of an alien race, but they're outside of like time. They're just they're higher dimensional. Yeah. But you could, I guess, classify them as ETs, but they don't
See,
really. Yeah.
yeah, the reason I bring that up is because I don't know if you came across them, but there used to be an alien race that was prolific around the Earth when the Dracos arrived, and they were with the felines, and that was the avians, which
Mm.
was a bird tribe. And there is a lost language of the bird tribe book where they do explain that, yeah, they found language of these beings that could fly. And so when I was one day looking at angels and how we always pictured them with wings, and I always felt like on my back it's like my wings were cut off because my shoulder blade is like kind of comes to a point like there should be something there, but there isn't. And I'm like, I feel like it's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait, avians are missing, and now we have angels, and you don't really see them in the physicality anymore, and they're more mental. Going, huh? Could they be the same? Are we looking at the same thing? And just because we didn't know the term avian tribe, we called them angel.
Yeah, my mom actually saw an angel when she was younger, but I do believe that there are uh, angel beings. They don't have wings, but their light is so bright that they're often depicted as having wings. Plus, they can shapeshift, so they can look like anything that they want to look like, and whoever they appear to, they will like if your definition of angels is having wings, these light beings can show up having wings so that you feel more comfortable. But then there are also ET races that are physical that have wings. So yeah.
Right. And that's why I mean, like the avians being an ET race, it's like, yeah, they kind of fit the definition and description. And I mean, the only reason I say like winged angels is because that's when you look at all the ancient art, you see the angels with the white or black wings, and it's like, okay, so they were winged. Well,
Mhm.
okay, so here's these winged and the Anunnaki and everything. I'm like, wow, how much of our world do we realize is in front of us, but we've been told is something else, so we mislabel it, and it's
Mhm.
like, don't accept now this, and it's like it is. It's
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, I do believe that there were winged physical beings that came here that, people drew on the hieroglyphs and stuff like that. But I wonder too if it was just some like a being that could levitate and they didn't know how to like depict that. So they put wings, they drew wings on the being just to show that, oh, it could fly, or it could
Yeah,
levitate. But
that might explain the god Mercury.
mm,
If
I don't
you
know. I don't know
if you
much about
remember the Greek god Mercury, he flies because his shoes have wings.
it. Mm.
He doesn't have wings, but his shoes are what allows him to fly.
Ah,
And so, like you're saying, seeing a levitating being, and you're like, well, he doesn't have wings, so we're going to try and make it accurate. Well, his shoes must be doing it. So we just, and when you look at what's to me was always ridiculous about imagery was you look at here's this tall guy and the wingspan of the shoe is like this wide. And you're like, there's no way that could lift up a man and cause him to fly.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just so amazing. Like there's so much out there that we don't know.
I know. And the thing that got me too was looking at the ancient art and like you see like a disc in the painting and it's like a beam of energy is coming out of it into a building and you're like how did we never notice this UFO freaking right here in the middle of a painting putting energy into this building? It's like, wait a minute. What? How? And it's like amazing how our minds are so trained to filter out that we will never see what we don't want to see.
Yes. Yeah. We won't hear what we don't want to hear. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So, real quick, Lauren is asking, will you be attending the SSP Super Soldier Conference in July in Florida?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, I don't know yet. I'd like
Yeah,
to go. I'd like to go.
yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'd like to go, but I've got so many things going on around that
Yeah, me
it's
too.
like I'm kind of being pulled in several directions.
Hmm. Yeah, I have like renovations going on, and I'm taking these courses, and I've got like other conferences, like just for like private banking stuff, and like yeah, I just got like a lot, but hopefully it'll be. I won't be as busy in July, so I'm waiting to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure where in the U.S. you live, but it's
Nowhere,
not like, huh?
nowhere. I don't live in the U.S.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, it'd be harder then for you, but I'm thinking if you're in the U.S. And the states aren't that hard to get to travel wise, but if you're outside the U.S., it's harder, I think, to get in through the borders.
Yeah,
Unless you do it illegally, then you got no problem.
yeah. I don't know. I haven't flown anywhere since 2019, so I don't know what the airports are like. I don't know. They were annoying before the pandemic. I don't know how annoying they are. I know there was a lot here in Canada with the travel. There was travel bans, travel restrictions. There was just so much crap going on with the government. I think it's all eased up now, but I don't know.
Yeah, but the unfortunate is that can all change in a day.
Mhm.
That's the problem. Is like you could fly in, but then they may go, well, if you traveled out of this country, we're now going to make you wait 14 days before you can. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That was not in my travel plans.
Yeah. I I love like flying, like I love being on planes and in the air, but I hate airports. I just hate airports so much.
Oh
Ugh,
yeah.
they're so annoying.
Well,
When can we teleport? I just want to, as soon as I can teleport, I'm traveling the world.
like I was saying to you, yeah, with like what I would call it. I'll steal a term from anime that I like to watch. Dragon Ball Z is instant transmission, where you just put your finger to your forehead and think of where you want to go, and you're instantly there.
Yeah.
I'm like, can you imagine showing up at a friend's and being like, "Hey, I'm here to hang out," and you're like, "Where's your luggage?" "Oh, I don't need luggage.
Yeah.
I'll be back in the morning. No worries. You'll be able to
Yeah.
sleep in your own bed."
Oh, that'd be amazing.
But yeah, but then there was like we were joking is going the first time you do it, thinking over the ocean and going, "Yes, I'm over the ocean and I'm about to land," and ah crap, I'm in the channel.
Damn it, I'm all wet.
You're like, "Hold on, I gotta go back and change clothes because I'm all wet now. Don't want to catch a cold." No, but, you
Too
know,
funny.
that's the other thing too is if like if we had that ability, could we, in essence, though, use that ability to like, we're saying, you accidentally landed in the water, but could you like, instead of moving, create the energy and be like, dry your clothes real quick?
Mm, probably. I mean, if you could teleport, you could, yeah. What I think about is like, um, so say I just wanted to teleport to like Australia or something, like, what if I showed up in a crowd of people? Like, that would freak everybody out, right? Like, they'd probably the police would be after me, wanting to question me. So would I have to teleport to like a barren area, or like, I don't know, somebody shed somewhere, like
You know,
somewhere where nobody can see me? Or like,
Nicole.
will by then it be well known that people can teleport, and so it won't phase anybody. So the public would be like, oh, yeah, whatever, you know?
I'll be a little honest with you, Nicole. My personal feeling is, with the way things are this day and age, if you were to pop in Australia, say in the middle of Sydney, probably maybe two people would notice that you just
Mhm.
popped in because everybody's in their phones.
That's true. Yep.
If we were talking like 20 years ago, it'd be like, yeah, probably mass hysteria going, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
this person appeared out of nowhere."
Yeah. And like we
But
were saying, like some people don't see what's right in front of them. Like if their psyche is not able to handle it, their brain won't even register that it happened,
yeah, it almost would be like, kind of like, I don't know if you ever watched the Matrix movies, where the
No,
lady
but
in
I
red scenario, where you're just walking through the crowd and then there's this one anomaly that you may have missed. That's the crucial element.
mm, yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy world. I think you gotta have stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, but I kind of wonder though too is like, I was talking with my mom and some other people, and they're like, won't it be great when we can go into space? And unfortunately, you haven't gone there yet with Astral, outside of a ship. But I'm like, it just seeing their excitement, and I was like, yeah, I'm sure it'd be really exciting for you, but I've seen it.
Mm,
It's like there's like, yeah, it's there, and yeah, and the one thing I'll say though that was interesting about one of my space experiences that kind of piqued our team's interest too was, I was on a ship and we were in front of a Stargate, and something was coming through that wasn't supposed to be coming through. And I told them I this was a dream vision, and I think it's an SSP. I thought it was a past life, or something to do with my hybrid side, but I literally say to everyone on the ship, I'll be right back. And I go and I lift myself up onto the ship, no helmet, no nothing, just my uniform. And I walk on the ship to a certain point, just raise my hand with the psionics, and when the ship came through, it was crushed. And the others were pushed back, and it was like, no, you guys are not coming through. You're not allowed. We're not allowing it. And then I just walked back in the ship. It was like, yeah, no big deal, guys.
Wow. Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, he was like, I've heard of people being in space, but not without a suit. That's really, no helmet or anything. That was new for him.
Mm. Yeah, I've heard, I believe James Rink in his book Lone Wolf talks about the different generations of super soldiers, and there is a certain gen that can be in space with no helmet, no suit, even. Yeah.
Here, I thought I was being unique. Being like, yeah, I got one unique element. But no, and I think that's the thing, though, that I feel like they thought would keep us divided, but it's not,
Mm,
is having like different generation, different models, different experiences, and thinking everybody would be like, nope, your experience can't be real because this is how it's done. And it's the exact opposite. Well, with most of the ones that I've talked with, is I haven't had that experience, but it's real for you, so that's really cool. And yeah, I would love to be able to do that.
hmm
And we're like more accepting. I think that the cabal and forces, whatever you want to call them, that created us, were like, yeah, that's part of their downfall, was we're unifying and turning against them.
Yes.
And
They
it's like,
probably, yeah, they probably like, we would have to do things to each other, torture each other and stuff like that. And they were probably banking on us hating each other and getting really
yeah,
mad at each other. And then so not talking, not doing shows, not,
yeah, being
um,
like, Nicole, I can't have you on the show again because you took my head off of this planet.
yeah, yeah,
And we're
exactly.
like, yeah, so you took my head off.
Yeah.
Let's do another show. Let's promote that other book.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, why are you guys not pissed at each other? It's like, yeah, you and I feel like actually the part that of us that's doing that, and I know this is going to sound really strange, but it feels to me like it's not our star side that unifies us, it's our human side.
Mhm.
And the reason I say that is when we look in history, the darkest moments when it looks like the earth and all of humanity is really doomed, we actually come together and stand as one and are like, okay, then we forget that we did that and we separate again and
Yeah.
go back to strife.
Yeah,
But
and then life gets easy again, and then so we start hating each other and neighbors hating neighbors. But yeah, like we were created um, to be loving, compassionate, beings.
yeah,
That's why they have to mind control us. That they have to mind control us to hate each other and to turn on each other because we actually are just really loving, compassionate, spiritual beings, and they can't really control us without using mind control.
right. And I think the expression that really summed it
And make
up,
us do bad things. Sorry.
yeah, that comes from the metaphysics, and I've never heard it anywhere but metaphysics. So if it is a phrase used elsewhere, don't flood me with, it's here. What are you talking about? This is where I heard it and learned it, and that is we are just spiritual beings having a human experience.
Hmm.
That's why we're here.
Yes. Whenever shit gets really hard for me, or like, just in life in general, or if I'm having a really horrific memory, I always remember that there's more to life than just even the SSP stuff, you know? Um, like there are much higher dimensions. There are, you know, we've been light beings before. A lot of us have been angelics before. We've been right next to creator, next to source. Like
Yeah.
there are different levels to this to just experience in general, like in life in general, So this
Yeah.
SSP stuff, like yeah, it's happening in the third and fourth, dimensions, but there's so much more beyond that. So that helps
Yeah.
me get through those hard times.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about there was that one question that I told you about backstage, and yeah, I apologize, everyone. We've been talking a lot about what we talked about backstage before the show, but that's part of the transparency of this show is I share experiences where they come from. But I was thinking about just now, it kind of triggered in my head. You know how you were saying you're wanting to be alone and not in relationship. I wonder if subconsciously you had the same thinking that I had, but just haven't voiced it in that way of we're having families and other relationships in these altars, and as we're bringing them in and assimilating them, you know, we had I think about what happened to that family, and I have ingrained in me a core of when I'm with someone, I'm with someone. I can't be with anybody else. I mean, I don't see any. It's like my mind filters everything else out to where, like, I laugh with people, but it's true as I could be in a beauty contest of bathing suits. And I'm like, if I'm dating somebody, I'll be like, I see hair, I see people, but I don't. It's like whatever they're wearing or not wearing, I don't notice. I'm oblivious to,
Mhm.
and I'm wondering if it's because of my memory of knowing that I have other families out there that it's like my mind is going, "Hey, you're not a cheater. You can't cheat on these other families, so you got to stay alone because you're gonna break your code."
Maybe, yeah, that could be it. Um,
And so I'm wondering if that's kind of similar for you as, thinking, you know, all these other lives,
um, okay,
maybe you don't want to get involved in that.
so that's yeah, I that could be it. It just reminded me of something. So when I decided to be single, like I was just friggin' done because I had so many horrible relationships. I didn't feel like I loved any of them, to be honest. Too many bad experiences, breakups were horrible, and then I just decided to be single. I was very, very, very happy. Am still happy being single. Will never go back. But in 2023, I actually had an experience, and I wonder if this is part of why I feel like I just want to be single. But I got taken out of body. I explain this in my book. A bunch of things happened. I got like this healing. There were all these beings around me. They were like working on my light body, my energetic body, and shifting things and moving things. Anyway, and then I was pulled through this vortex and I was just like spinning around and spinning around. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And then I was like in this room, like container thing. And then I heard a voice speak to me, like telepathically. And oh my God, like it's kind of emotional because I knew him. Like I knew him. I knew him, but I didn't know him. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
didn't remember anything, but I started to ask questions like, do I know you? And he said yes. And I'm like, why am I here? I asked a bunch of questions, some he couldn't answer. There was a guy named Michael, and I think it was the archangel, but I'm not totally sure. But he was kind of like supervising, and he was like some things this being, Salsa, couldn't tell me, and I just got that feeling like, okay, he can't talk about this. So I'd ask another question, and I just felt so much love for this being, Salsa, and I felt his love, and I felt like he missed me. And then I started feeling sad because then I started missing him. But it's weird because I don't remember him. But oh, it was just a beautiful exchange. I wrote about it, but and then after, like, I felt myself getting pulled down, sucked back into my body, and I woke up and I'm like, oh my god! Like I had to write it all down. I'm like, that was just insane. That was so cool. Um, and as I was in the following days, I was so like high vibrational, like for the next 2 weeks. Like I was like walking on clouds. I was like, oh my god, I was so happy. Like everything was so amazing. Um, and I felt a lot of grief too. Like I felt like
Right.
huge amounts of grief. But after I settled down a little bit, I started looking into it with like meditations and hypnosis sessions, and I've asked a couple of psychics, and I believe that that was my twin flame. I I definitely believe that was my twin flame or my divine partner or whatever you want to call it, my other half.
Right.
And so I wonder too if maybe me not being in relationships is because my soul just kind of knows I have a stronger connection up there, and I'm never gonna feel that connection down here. Like I don't really I don't really like too
Yeah.
many humans, but like it's just nothing is going to complete me or satisfy me or make me feel as good as my divine counterpart. You know what I mean?
I do, and part of me also, I have to admit, and it kind of goes along with like you're saying with the healing and everything, is realizing, knowing what we've done and how we did it and everything, coming home and looking someone in the eyes and saying, hi, yeah, and being like, yeah, I'm somewhat broken yet not broken, and I've killed but not killed. It's like, how do I look someone in the face and be like, yes, you have all of me, and you have, and I have all of you, and we're equal on these levels. And it's like, no, that'll never be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to connect with people, like especially sleepers. I know so many. I don't know too many people. Actually, no, I do know some people who are like awake, but I'm the type I have to talk about my experiences. I would have to wake them up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my God, I was just out of body in a spaceship. And like, I have to tell them everything. And like, I don't know if
And
they'd
what's
really
funny
get it,
about,
you know?
yeah, but what's funny about that, Nicole, is I have a strict, because I astral, don't wake me up, because I don't want to slam into my body and be like, ow. So yeah, that would be hilarious to see, someone who's like, I gotta wake you up, and be like, I know you're traveling, but really, you gotta come home.
You got to hear my story,
Be like, but then again, I have to think though as well, because, and I'm not projecting anything, I'm just speaking in hypotheticals here. You being you, me being me. If like you're saying, you get up and you're like, hey, I had this experience I need to tell you about. If I would hear and be like, okay, guys, I know we're doing a peace treaty or something, but I gotta go. I'll be back in a flash. Go back, hear your story, and be there for that, and then go, because we operate on the same level area, being like, both astral, both in the program. So it's like, I wonder if it would be different, because we have that more of understanding and ability to go, I'm not going to feel stupid or crazy or
hmm
making this shit up, because That's what everybody who's not gone through it will say. Whereas somebody who's been through it's going to be like, oh, so it'd be like me going, oh, so you finally went off planet. Yes, you
Yeah.
finally broke the barrier. And
Yeah.
what was it like for you? And be excited for you because, yeah, we have that commonality.
Yeah. We wouldn't have to explain everything like what, 20 back is and what,
Yeah.
MK Ultra is, you just, you know.
Well, not only that, but it'd be like those moments when somebody's like, I wonder now when those moments when your partner yells at you and says, you're not listening to me, you're not even here, going, you were on a 20 and back, weren't you? It'd be like the arguments would be a whole lot different. Be like, where'd you go? What'd you do? You gotta tell me because it apparently was more interesting than what I was talking about.
Yep. Oh, it's too funny.
That is. But so we're actually approaching an hour and 45 minutes. So what is coming up next for Nicole besides the book? We've hinted at the book. We'll keep that a teaser.
Yep. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Is there anything like on your bucket list that you like a bucket list you have of something you would love to experience or do?
Well, I'd love to meet an ET in the physical. I mean, I've seen crafts and UFOs and stuff like that, but I want like an ET in front of me. That's on my bucket list. And I do believe that that day is going to come because when I asked that salsa being like, am I ever going to meet you? The overwhelming feeling I got was yes. Like,
Yeah.
so I do believe that that's coming. I don't know when. It's hard being patient.
I know. I'm the same way when everybody says, oh, well, this will change at this date. And you're like, that day came and went. You're like, seriously, stop giving dates, people.
Yes. Oh my God. I used to fall for that all the time. Like when I first woke up, I used to fall for all these dates and then they'd come and go and I'd be so disappointed. So then I learned, okay, it's all bullshit. Nobody really knows. We're all just guessing. But,
Yeah.
a lot of these things do happen. So, but a lot of it is energetic. Like they're energetic shifts, when people say, oh my God, September 23rd, we're all, this is big things going to happen, or December 21st or whatever. I do believe that there are shifts and there are changes, but I think they're very subtle. And even if we shifted into like a new timeline, we wouldn't really notice, anyway. It's not profound, it's
Right.
very, very subtle. So I do believe that there are timeline shifts, there are energetic shifts, there are definitely things going on within our bodies. But I think it's so slow and it's so subtle that it's, I don't get like crazy excited about those dates anymore. I'm like, oh, I probably won't even notice, if anything happens.
You know, as we were talking about before, it's like my mind, like, figures things out and like puts scenarios out there that we were talking about, like two SSP dating. Could you imagine the fights being like, I can't look at you right now. I'm doing a 20 and back and be like, oh my God.
You're like, sorry, I'm not interested, but my alter would be interested. Give me a second, let me switch.
Switch you're like, you're looking to, oh, you were talking with this one. Hold on, let me go find them.
Yeah, that's why I was listening, but my other alter took over. So, or like,
It's like my alter got bored with your story. What were you saying?
Yeah.
No, but could you imagine the fights too, though? The arguments being like, that would just be a whole nother level because it's like we're dimensional and time doesn't mean anything to us. So it's like, that's the other thing that would be interesting. We would be creating so many Mandela effects because we'd be like, oh man, we never should have had this argument. I totally should have agreed with her.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going back in time. We're changing this, and we're altering the timeline. So this never happened, and everyone's like, "Wait, something's off," and you're like, "Nope, don't know what you're talking about, people."
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm like, I can't believe you did this to me in that parallel reality. Oh, oh my
You
God.
know,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you ever seen it, but the BBC came out with the show Doctor Who,
I've heard of it.
and it's about a Time Lord who can travel through time and space and dimensions. And I'm like sitting here thinking, wow, it'd be so fun to be like, yeah, just show up to places in a trench coat or something and be like, I'm the doctor, or I'm here to help. And it's like, well, and the interesting thing is he never gives a name. And so it's like, he really could be an SSP
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have names.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I've figured out is like I've always been like, well, what's my name? And I never see a name.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I got some names of alters, but I never like clones or me in parallel realities. Yeah, it's strange.
And it gives new meaning to us of that deja vu of like, I know you from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of us, it's like, I know you from somewhere or sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah.
Yes,
And
exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, and I can just see one of the arguments between the two SSP is you can go back in time to change this, but you won't go back to change this for me. It's like, look, we're manipulating time too much. And they're like, oh, so you'll do it for yourself, but not for me. It'd be
Oh
like,
my
you
God.
can go through time.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't miss about relationships is all those like petty little arguments and oh my
Yeah,
God. That would just bring a whole new level to it if there were two SSP people. Oh my God.
I know. That'd
Oh
almost
my
be funny as hell to watch on like TV, reality TV, two SSPs living together.
God. Yeah.
Okay, so where can people find you if they want to get a hold of your book or talk to you about experiences?
You can email me at n.aub@icloud.com. I'm on Facebook too under Nicki Aubrey. You can me there. That's pretty much it. I don't have like a website or any social media or anything.
And to help you out, I do have the link to your book in the description. So people, you can find her book. It is on Amazon, and I love the fact it's even Kindle version.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to do an audiobook too, but I looked into it and I'm like, oh my God, they have like royalties and like contracts I have to sign and stuff. And I'm like, okay, maybe no audiobook, but yeah, there should be a link there for if you're in Canada, use amazon.ca. And if you're in the States, use amazon.com. Um,
Oh, I didn't know Canada had a different Amazon.
yeah, yeah, we do. But just because if you're in Canada and you order from the States, you're going to pay more in shipping and stuff like that. And there's a price difference because the States
Yeah.
is so much cheaper than Canada.
You know, and it's kind of funny because like long distance calls, it was like Canada was always free to the US. So it's like hard to remember Canada and US are two separate
I
entities
know, I
because it's
know.
like
Yeah.
always been combined at the hip and it's like but not in this area.
Yep. Yeah. I know I've been wanting to make donations to people and I asked them like, do you have email money transfer? Because that's like it's so easy here. It's just attached you just send people money through email, and all the Americans are like, "What? What is that?"
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Like, what? You guys don't have that? I'm like, oh, it would just be so much easier because then you don't have to worry about the exchange rate. You're not paying, extra fees for all these companies. You're not paying the difference in the exchange rate and stuff like that. It would just be so much easier. You guys need email money transfer.
Yeah, but then nobody's making profit off it because everybody loves to tack on service fees.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the American way. Put a fee on it. Uh, so, as we're ending the show, and I appreciate you coming on and appreciate you sharing your book with us and everything. I would like to ask one last question that I like to save for the very end, and that is out of your life experiences, doesn't have to be SSP, paranormal, or Kundalini awakening, just in general if you want. But out of your experiences, what is one nugget that you would like to leave the audience with for this show?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
I try to make it simple by saying it doesn't have to relate to a specific topic.
Just remember that there is so much more out there. Lose the fear, like lose the fear. I still see so many people just, ugh, so much fear. Don't fear anything. You are safe. You are protected. You are guided. Remember, there's a lot of positive beings out there, and this is just one journey. This is just one incarnation. It's just one arrow in the quiver of, a whole totality of experiences. So yeah, don't get too caught up in the negativity of everything. Laugh, have fun, try to find joy in things. Yeah.
I love it. That was really good. So I'm going to say thank you again. I appreciate you coming on, and I know Angie talked highly about me and was instrumental in having you come on the show. And so
Yes.
I do tip my hat to Angie, and she's a dear friend. And I hope now I can say the same for you.
Yes.
And you're welcome back on anytime.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Angie, Lauren. Oh my God, there's just so many people that have been really awesome. Thank you very much.
And thank you to the audience and everyone viewing and chat room. So I'm going to say good night, good day, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Fill it with love. We need to spread more love in the world. And I'm going to put a little twist on one of Nicki's little nuggets of don't let the fear control, watch out on the fear, because as I learned and resonates with me was from the movie Dune. Remember, fear is the mind killer. So don't let it win. You can rise above it. You don't have to get rid of it, but just remember it doesn't control you. And I have to wholeheartedly agree with Nicki. Spread the laughter, spread the joy. So, from writing through the universe, good night, everyone.